This video is to explain the exponent rule. So in layman terms, the exponent rule says that when f of x is equal to x to the nth power, the derivative of that, f prime of x, is equal to n times x to the n minus 1. So let's go through a few examples because it's actually a pretty basic concept to cover. So example 1. Let's say f of x is equal to x to the third. Then f prime of x, the derivative of that, would be equal to 3x squared. So all I did there was I took this exponent and I moved it to the front, and then I took 1 away from it and made it a 2. Let's try another example. Let's try using a different notation. So instead of f of x, let's say y is equal to x to the fourth. Then what would y prime be? Well, y prime would be 4x to the third. I did the same thing here. I just brought that 4 to the front and then reduced it by 1. Let's try another example. So here we're going to do one where there's already some kind of coefficient in front of the number. So let's say I have 3x to the fourth. Well, what I would do here is I bring the 4 to the front. So this becomes 4 times 3 x to the third. So the 4 has come to the front, and then I reduced it by 1. So this simplifies to 12x to the third. This is also actually problem number 3, not problem number 2. Small mistake there. Let's try another one. Let's try problem 4 here. Let's say I want to do y is equal to, let's do one where we have to use, do a couple at once. Okay, so for the first one, I would bring the 2 to the front. So 2 times 4 would give me 8x, and it's x to the first, so I don't have to write the 1. This is technically an x to the first right here. So when I bring the 1 to the front, it becomes a 2 times x to the 0, which is just 1, so that disappears. And then the minus 3 just goes away. Any constant, the derivative of any constant is equal to 0. So that's going to be gone. Let's try something a little bit different here. What do we do if I have y, actually let's go back here, that's y prime. What do I do if I have y is equal to 3 over x? So this presents some problems. You might think, oh, well, it's just x to the first, so subtract 1 from that, it's x to the 0, it just becomes 3 over 1. Well, that's actually not the case. What we have to do is rewrite this so that x is in the numerator. And we know that x to the first in the numerator is the same as x to the negative 1 in the numerator. So now, following this whole process of the exponent rule, I multiply 3 by negative 1, so this will give me negative 3, and then x would be equal to, or x would now be raised to the negative 2 power, so it will look like that. Well, we know that x to the negative 2 just goes to the bottom as x squared, so this would equal negative 3 over x squared. Try a couple more examples, some things that are just a little bit different than that. So let me go ahead and just erase all this. All right, so let's do another one with a negative exponent, but let's do a few. So let's say I had y equals 4 over x squared plus 3 over x, and then let's do some other ones in here. Let's make this one a little bit more complicated. Maybe I do 8x to the third plus 2x. So the first thing I want to do is I want to rewrite my y so that all of the exponents are in the numerator. So this would be 4 times x to the negative 2 plus 3 times x to the negative 1 plus 8x cubed plus 2x. Now I'm going to put the 1 in there just because. All right, so I bring the negative 2 to the front. This becomes negative 8x to the negative 3. Bring the 1 to the front. This becomes, actually, that's going to be a minus sign instead of a plus sign. So that would be minus 3 times x to the negative 2. It's a minus sign because when I multiplied 3 by negative 1, I got a negative number. This would be plus 24x squared because I bring the 3 to the front. And this would just be plus 2 because x to the 0 is just that. So putting in final form, leaving no negative exponents, this would be negative 8 over x to the third minus 3 over x squared plus 24x squared plus 2. We'll do one more example where we do actually a square root, because that's another type of exponent. So let's say I wanted to do y is equal to the square root of x, and I wanted to find the derivative of that. Well, remember that the square root of x is just the same as x to the 1/2. So following the exponent rule, I bring the 1/2 to the front, and when I subtract 1 from that exponent, it becomes negative 1/2. So it's 1/2 times x to the negative 1/2. Well, we know that to get rid of the negative, we just move to the bottom. So this would be 1 over 2x to the 1/2, which would equal 1 over 2 times the square root of x. And you can pretty much leave in that form. Really, probably either of these are acceptable. I know you don't usually want a radical in the bottom. That's what you learn in Algebra 2 and Pre-Calc, but most teachers, this is fine. I don't think they'll worry too much. And that's how you do the exponent rule for a number of different examples. So I hope that was helpful.